So first I'm going to talk a little bit about Samuel Beckett. If anyone's familiar, he has a lot of themes in his work that can be interpreted pretty bleakly. I think he toils a lot with desperation and sort of persevering or continuing on in the face of desperation. And I have personally found these tropes or images to be quite productive as far as thinking about positionality for marginalized groups, particularly women, and what that might mean for me in my work. So I'm going to show a little portion of a video called, this piece is called Act Without Words 1. And this kind of will give you an idea, if you're not familiar with Beckett, of the sort of desperation that I'm talking about, persistence in the face of. Okay, we can stop it. It kind of continues on in this way for the entirety. So you get the idea.
If we could bring up the image of
Yeah, I mean, we kind of teased out some similar themes, but we'll see now.
So as Evan mentioned, the artist that I chose is Ana Mendieta. I came to Ana Mendieta's work in a really kind of strange way. I was actually reading Schizophrene by Ana Kapil, actually out loud with my friend MG. And there was this really beautiful passage that Ana Kapil describes where basically she's laying under a tree and she makes a silhouette of her body in the grass, and then she fills the grass with marigolds. And I was haunted by this image, and it still haunts me. And I have been trying to rewrite that image over and over again. And I was working on a project at Mills, and I was writing these earth body sculptures, much like what's behind you, without even knowing who Ana Mendieta was, or that was a reference to Mendieta. And I was in a workshop by Juliana Spar, and she had written on my manuscript, like, I really love the Mendieta references, and I'm like, what is she talking about? And then I checked out Mendieta and realized, I don't know, just the affinities that we have. Another thing is that Mendieta could be maybe understood for me as a reason as to why I moved from poetry to performance art, since so much of what I write about is being disembodied, and my writing process is a lot about trying to enter into the body, which is very much aligned with Mendieta's work. So it was a joy to create this project with Kate. And without further ado, we'll
We have a moment of setup, but then we'll go to the actual performance.
The trouble with writing trauma stories is sublimation. I feel like I'm in the locomotion of tautology, a feedback loop that takes the form of a figure eight. It's better to ask forgiveness than permission as seduction tactic, well known in the frame. If I could locate the trauma, a teleology would unfold to explain the lie of all of me. Like in a moment of Aristotelian recognition, I would stand at the pinnacle of my suffering. A female Oedipus who suddenly recognized that she was raped. All the unanswered questions of my life fall into place. Every moment makes her quake. The truth is that by the time I was raped, my body was already in the cruel red light of suffering, buzzing to the beat of something perpetually breaking, outlining in blood. And when I look back at that godforsaken year, the year that I blasphemed God away to nothing, I had already found myself engrossed in night terrors, night after night, that took the form of a demonic creature, hovering above my body, the wellspring of creature fear manifested in a black hole corner of my room. And when I speak of the cool red light of suffering, I am speaking of the radiant day glow of advertisements that assaulted me each day on my afternoon commute to work. I am speaking of the time subsumed in my guilt of desire, guilt of being female and desiring. From Brooklyn to Tribeca, I transferred from the L at Union Square to the 123 each day on a Pinolette, walking through the long tunnel, sneering at the stale robot, Vodka's cyborg fantasy, sneering at the life-size Photoshop toy starring in her nuclear reality TV show, sneering at the Terry Richardson Aldo ads depicting anorexic girls licking giant phallic pink ice cream cones, to eventually emerge from the underworld to be told that I dropped something. I dropped my fucking smile. And when I speak of the sneering of the cruel red light of suffering, I must tell you that the sneer did nothing to protect me from swallowing that big broken octagon, as it did not save me from starving myself for the last 2 or 3 years that I was in New York, as in it did not save me from thinking that I had somehow been responsible, that I had always been responsible, that what had happened was not rape, but something else, and I had been responsible. As in it did not save me from picking myself up by my bootstraps to lose 30 pounds that I didn't need to lose and show everyone how driven I was, how perfect I was, how I would try my damnedest to be that very image. As in my sneering did not save me from rape. Having my story acts as a refusal to submit to the image of the rape coming beneath a lack of a life. The rape warning as a big black hole in the corner of the room, sucking life into nothingness, outlined in blood.
It's not that I'm sad, I just don't care, really, about anything. Everything is so fucked that I just don't care. By everything is so fucked, I mean that I feel like I have no agency. Except that I know that I do. Except that I don't.
Musty bloodshed paragon, impaling clitoris factor, painless crying wreckage, binge drinking happening, drunken customer service agency, endless death song searching, 24-hour YouTube journey, buried panic attack freezing, deep internal wave surfing, blacked out violent bottle breaking, waking vegetable relation thirst, morning shame walking, MDMA orgy tiptoeing, whiskey in bed shame feeling, looping masturbation phantasms, recurrent birthing night terrors.
The shifting slack stripes, and the emptiness of a circle unbound and beating out from the history, calling out from the circle, a stripe around the belly that runs slack, holding tight and then slipping, pushing out from the encircled center, empty center.
I submerge my hands in ink and smear them across the wall. I cover my body in rich purple paint and rub against white paper. I place a sticker of the Virgin Mary on my bedroom window next to the fire's gate. She hurts with a blow of blue frost. I race down the stairs to make snow angels in the dark of snow, fill the silhouette of my body in the snow and airy bags, see the blossoms with tissue paper and douse them in leaden flame. I set them on fire and strip off my clothes. I watch the sunset. Like Francesca Whitman, I photograph every rendition of myself. With stones in my pockets, I led to the rooftop with a voice in my head thinking, make spiral formations with the rocks, channel aliens by shouting aligned by Spicer into the tar sky. Say the stones will soak up the moonlight and be used to heal what is broken in me.
I have to throw, to sting, where the hum follows one around, the skin around, the self of spirit of coherence. The outside layer and desired shelter, but there are no ways to say yes. Yes to open windows, but a clear path to the wind outside, a clear path to the uncertain. The open window, though, the crevice to crawl through as well, a clear path to nothing but a way out. Desire and endless wind, an endless breath on the skin, an endless tunnel out from.
Planted in the thought machine like a time bubble, sequestered story from cover to cover, answering in the apparition self-luminous, like real trembling from division, the corpus callosum pile on the bedroom floor, action potential, technic body, lighting fuses entangled like a spinal cord in a lift.
Where X pushes up from under, what the hell am I doing here? Even the things I'm writing right here want to tear off the pages. No sense or meaning. What to tear off the pages? What do you mean? There is a notion, no sense of movement, loud banging in the background, alternatives to living. But who are you really? A page or a section of a page drawn up, all labels drifting further and further from grasp. It's not that I don't appreciate all the statements, but I don't want to join them. Paper the walls in gray newsprint. Red, God damn it, scrawled over and over in messy grandma cursive. Over and over and over and over. Paper the walls with you inside. There are no words. Writing a page in blinding light reflected back to you from the space of the page. The only way beyond it to fill it in flat.
As if covered in blood, awakening on the road, or red paint from shock, as I drink from the loss. The red on the hands, the gold at the throat, not knowing quite what, and never quite knowing the location of this trauma, as if I could match to it in protest.
None of the lists even get made, let alone finished. You just do what you do. All the people who barely felt ready just to report, well, and a thematic thread, beautifully laced, not aware of a fair number of errors. You cannot barely muster to be reasonable. All of those times you wanted to write but didn't, spent thinking on the couch, someone rushing home to clear. All those letters to men could fall into this.
I stand behind the body and bear witness to a fissure, a question the history of. I stand in front of the body in shadow puppet objectivity. I stand in front of the mirror, gasping in horror of the other. I layer my mind through the body, discovering something like the porous places of an ornate cake housed in a delicatessen window. I ran through the body, experiencing the pins and needles of awakening to a rush of warmth on a bare mattress at Jay's in Texas, after months and months of a prophylactic New York winter. I hover above my body, lifting higher and higher to its connected source, proud and wax poetic about permanent evolution and paradise now, while crashing down to the earth. I follow my body, sweating like a shadow attached to flesh in Atlantic's depths. I settle into my body to enter the myriad dualities of a closed-eyes meditation. I remove my mind completely and spray a batter of bloody meat on the kitchen counter to be fucked in a hipster-less reading of Schumann, fueled by lots and lots of whiskey. I awaken in my body during a cerebral death attack regulated by shameful amounts of sleep. With the slow movement of my wiggling fingers to wake me, I roll on my right side and live in the body with the thoughts so gone, circumnavigating the skin current.